Albert Einstein once observed that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another.
Hi, and welcome to the Satori Show with your host, Amy Satori, your intuitive spiritual counselor. Amy's work centers around the energy that is in everything and everywhere. Her rare ability is to identify the energy from any source, and with the help of her guides on the other side, provides an incredibly accurate assessment of what's really going on. Albeit with people living or past, pets, the human body, and her specialty, twin flame relationships. And now we're proud to announce that the show is live at the Lighthouse Bookstore every Sunday night from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can talk to Amy and see for yourself just how special her abilities really are. Just call 256-291-1191. So now sit back and join me, Kevin McDonald, as we present this episode of The Satori Show.
And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and you're listening to, of course, The Satori Show with your host, Amy Satori. And, you know, one of these days, Amy, I wanted to do my impression of Ed McMahon, but unfortunately, most of our audience won't have any idea who that is. So I guess I won't. Here's Amy. So, and
hey, you just ruined it for some of those. You just ruined it for some of those people who think you're like a young, strapping guy. Remember Gretchen?
Oh, no.
She thought you were like 21 or something when she first heard you.
No, I saw this. It was on YouTube. It was I don't know who that is and that other old guy, but no, I'm yeah. Well, so there. Anyway, Amy, how are you?
Good. I'm good.
Well,
it's been a beautiful day. I got to ride horses today for the first time in a long time. It was like invigorating. I loved it. I was up in the fresh mountain air, and it was just the perfect weather with the perfect horse, and it was so cool, so beautiful out in Estes Park. So that was awesome.
So you've had a very good day today. I'm very happy for you. But you deserve to have good days. But today, speaking of good days, today we are going to talk about twin flames, and we've got some questions that we're going to answer and talk about twin flames and the issues that people have, and so including, oh, by the way, I should always do this first, and sometimes I just forget to. Travis is our producer. He is with us right now, and if you want to call into the show, anytime that you call into the show, you'll talk to Travis first, and you can always call us during when we are actually live, and you can listen to us live by going to 256-291-1191. You can also go to thesatorishow.podbean.com to download many of all of our shows that we've had to date, and you can do that. And you can also go to www.amysatori.com to find out more about Amy and some of the exercises that she gives you, some of the work that she does to help you. And today we're going to talk about twin flames. And we've got some questions. So first of all, Amy, let's talk a little bit more about twin flames as far as your evolving understanding of what that topic is.
Okay. So I'm not going to give like the whole history because, a lot of these... Okay, so I want to encourage everybody to follow on Podbean because that way whenever these talks come out, you can get notified right away. But a lot of the twins are listening to this, and they listen to every episode. So I would hate for them to have to hear the twin flame explanation over and over. But I'll give you an update on what's happening right now with the energy. It's a little nerve-wracking, I have to say. Okay, so the masculines have been working behind the scenes on trying to figure out a way to create this new life with their divine feminine. And in the meantime, many of them still have lingering doubts, fears, codependency issues, being maybe a little too responsible, and trying to figure out the details. And they are a little bit stuck going forward, but they are about to and are starting to come together and come into union with their divine feminines in some way, shape, or form, meaning just more communication, just, having heart-to-heart conversations, getting on the same page, admitting their feelings to each other, all that kind of beautiful stuff is happening. But for those who haven't had that happen yet, which it should soon, within the next month or two, but probably most likely by the looks of things, actually any day. So we're right on the brink of union. And unfortunately, though, there's like this temptation that's happening for the feminines. They're getting offers all over the place, and especially by soulmates. So, and normally I would think that that's a good thing. Like you could choose a twin flame or a soulmate, and it's not really going to matter. But I have seen these soulmates come together, and then either one or both soulmates end up meeting their twin flame. And then it gets all wonky because you're kind of with the wrong person, even though this person's like super nice and things are easy and comfortable and great. Then they end up kind of being stuck with that person and wanting to cheat on them or wanting to end their marriage. And so I'm telling everybody, just hang in there. Wait for your masculine. You know this is divinely guided. You know this is your destiny. And he does too. So have some faith in him and hold out. That's what I would do. I mean, why? I think a lot of these feminines are bailing because they are feeling like rejected. They're feeling abandoned, rejected, and they're taking it very personally that he hasn't left his karmic or whatever hasn't happened yet that they feel should happen. And they're kind of insulted by it. And then the soulmate comes like a knight in shining armor offering. I mean, sometimes they're like getting married like right the minute they meet them, it seems like. And there's just, there's all this romance involved, and they're like whisking them off their feet. So it kind of seems to me like like a last temptation before union. I'll have to feel it out as I continue to talk to more couples, but that's just kind of what it's looking like to me, and I'm not having anything to do with it personally. I'm trying to be very, very cautious at this time. I do have men coming at me. I mean, I'm not like trying to brag. I'm just saying I do have some men flirting and wanting to go out and stuff like that. So it's like I'm just treating it all like I'm just really trying to stay in the moment and really read into every person who approaches me, and I'm just looking at them like, okay, what are you? And just trying to stay really clear and trying to stay out of that hurt place and try to stay out of any kind of negativity I could be telling myself about my own situation. And every feminine is facing this. They're just like, why am I, this is ridiculous. This is, they're just at their limit and they're walking away from the connection. So, but I'm standing strong and saying, you guys, hold out. That's my advice. You cannot listen to me, but I think you'll regret it if you do go with a soulmate, or for that matter, with a karmic. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, given that's
the current pulse on the situation.
Would you be interested then, because one of the things that we did was we reached out to the 111 Twin Flame Forum, 11111 Twin Flame Forum.
1111.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Appreciate it. That's a lot easier. And we got some questions for you. Are you feeling up to answering some questions from some of our listeners?
Absolutely. Yeah,
all
I'd like
righty
to help
then.
any way I can.
Well, then Kathy says, can you read if I'm talking to my true twin flame? His name starts with S. And can you tell me when we might meet?
No. I mean, no, you're not. That's not your twin. That's a karmic. I'm asking some questions right now to get more information for you. Hang on just a moment. No, your true twin is coming up around the bend, approximately 2 weeks out. But the one that you're referring to has actually been getting you ready and kind of bringing down some walls for you and reducing your resistance to being receptive of the true twin that is coming soon. Your true twin, in contrast to the one that you're talking about, is going to be more playful and giddy, silly, and fun. This other guy, he kind of feels like he's playing some games. I don't like it. Nope. He's a karmic. So just don't worry about it. Let it go. I don't know if you're seeing signs and synchronicities and things like that, but most likely not. Maybe you're just really curious about him and thinking about him a lot, and that's not enough. So hold out until you start getting kind of tormented by, like inundated with all these signs and synchronicities by the universe trying to say, like, yeah, that's the one. So being that you didn't tell me any signs or synchronicities that you're getting with this guy, I think you're just like super interested, and I think you're supposed to be super interested because he is getting you ready for this one that's coming. So this is also kind of known as a false twin flame. So there might be a degree of you guys kind of seeming like you're reading each other's minds sometimes, or you call each other when you're thinking about the other one and stuff like that. So I can see where you would think that. But hold out because the real guy's just around the corner.
And that was for Kathy. I've got another one for you. Lucia says this. I had a dream last night about my divine masculine and myself. It was so vivid and real. When I woke up, it felt so surreal. I don't normally remember my dreams if I dream at all, but this first time I had a dream that involved him. This follows after a month of feeling his presence popping into my mind, daydreaming smells, places, numbers, etc. Before this, I've gone on with my own life, content and happy, 18 months of no contact. I've moved on and in a karmic relationship. So why now?
I think he's made some big breakthroughs. I think he's had some major epiphanies in his life. A lot of the masculines have been going through this. They have been having the Hermit card come up a lot and the Hanged Man. So they're definitely realizing the connection that they have with you. And they're realizing the depth of this connection, and they're realizing that there's a mission and a purpose behind it. And they're starting to realize what's most important to them, who they truly are, what they're really about, and who they truly align with. When they set aside everything, all the falsehoods and all the things they've always thought, used, dogmas in their life, when they've dropped all the dogmas and they really look at what they truly represent authentically from their core and who they align with, they realize that it's their divine feminine. And so I feel like he's been coming to some of those realizations, and those dreams are to kind of trigger your interest in him again so that you'll be drawn to him again. And this is what I'm talking about. This is why you don't go with a soulmate or a karmic, because you'll be plagued. You will be taunted by the universe to be with your true match. So, yeah, I would definitely. If you already know that you're with a karmic partner, you need to listen to episode 50, where I talk about a radical approach to coming into union with your twin flame. There's nothing wrong with hanging out with a karmic or a soulmate and getting to know somebody and trying to see, like, obviously there's a lesson there that both of you can learn from each other, but you can get the lesson without having sex, and you can get the lesson without getting yourself so far into a relationship that it's really tough to get out. So I would get yourself out of that situation because you don't want to settle anyway. And the fact that you just called them a karmic off the bat is like, oh gosh, man. It's like, get out of there. Get out of there. So I would make yourself available and get confident living an independent life as a single woman and embrace your passions and, just maybe even go have a reading done by me or someone else, doesn't matter, and just see maybe where he's at, because I get the feeling that he is making some turnarounds and he's having some realizations about you, and that he could be coming. Let me try and get some kind of a time frame as to when you guys might interact next. Get about 4 to 6 weeks. I think he might send you a text or call you. And it's going to be, wow. It kind of feels like he puts on all his cards on the table. He's kind of like almost one of those moments where he's like completely at wit's end and kind of done and kind of tired of this whole separation. He's like, look, here's what's up. And I feel like he just gets really honest with you. It kind of feels really refreshing, really nice. And then you guys can build on that. But in the meantime, within the next 6 weeks, I would definitely ditch the karmic. You never really, I don't know, we learn something from every situation we're in. But if you already know you're settling, just, get out, because that karmic partner you have, you could be holding them up from being with the person that they're meant to be with too. So it's just good for everybody if you can get yourself out of those types of situations. So, but also good that you realize that as well. Anyway, but thanks for your question.
Oh, and, very good.
Yeah, let us know what happens.
Oh, absolutely. And now Stephen writes, I don't know. I hope to get her back. She left me after 12 years due to personal and spiritual stuff. What do you read there?
Let me see. Let her go. That's what I hear. Let her go. It never hurts to let somebody go, ever. I don't care if this is a twin flame, karmic, whatever it is. Let the person go, because when you do that, you cause like a reset in the system, a reset in the matrix, and the other person will feel it. If they're your twin and you let go, they're definitely going to pick up the slack. That's just kind of how it works. Until you come into this like perfect balance where there's no tug of war, it's just like both of you are holding the rope and you're just kind of like slowly going toward each other. So I would just let it go and see what happens. Let me just see if she's gone on a totally different path. And it feels to me like you were her karmic. And I think that you might have some regrets. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that sin kind of keeps you stuck. It's like he's having regret and guilt, it feels like, and that's what's keeping him held to this. It's not synchronicity, signs, and all of these things that are pointing toward her. It's his own guilt playing him, what he feels he should have done different or whatnot. But it doesn't really feel... I don't really feel like they're going to be together. When I'm looking at the energy, she's just completely taken off on another path. So I would just forget about her. And if you need a good guided meditation, I have a great one in my resources tab on my website, amysatori.com. And it's a letting go meditation. It's really great. But let go of her. Let go of your guilt especially. Let go of the shame and all of that. And then just get passionate about your life. Get excited about some things that excite you personally. And start getting excited about this new chapter in your life. And just think about yourself and what you want for a while.
Very good, and that's always sound advice. I do believe. Now, one of the questions that is a recurring theme that we're getting on the 1111 Twin Flame Forum is people that are saying that they're in separation. And that's
yeah.
We've probably had a dozen of those, including Georgia and Mina and several others that have said that they're in separation. What does that mean, and when do you expect that to end, or is it an individual case?
It's definitely an individual case, but most at this time, I believe, like when I tapped into it last, when I did that number 50 episode, it looked like, geez, a good, man, close to 80% of the people out there were with karmic partners or soulmates. In other words, they were with mismatches as a collective. When you listen to Twin Flame collective readings, it's like picking up on what's going on for those pretty much in separation. And what the separation is what happens when the twin flames are not ready to be together yet. When they're not, when they've already met and they've had that recognition, they've had this real sweet nostalgic connection, this rare one of a kind meeting with somebody that's different than they've ever met before. Then the masculine runs and the feminine chases for a little while until they realize this isn't any fun anymore because he's not responding. And then she backs off, and then they both go through a lot of transformation in different ways. She gets over abandonment issues and learns to love herself and stand in her own power and not need a man. And she gets really independent, and he goes through a reevaluation of just about everything in his life and what's important to him. And so the separation period does a lot for their own personal transformation and growth, and it's a really important stage or step in their process. But as soon as they start to come to terms with their life in a positive way and start to feel kind of optimistic about their lives and start to come into their power, and they start to feel strong and confident, and they start to feel hopeful about their future and more authentic as who they are, then they start coming together, and then they can come into what's called union, which is actually having some type of relationship where they're communicating on a regular basis, and it's reciprocated, and they acknowledge their feelings for each other, and they go forward even as friends or more, and they get something going. So, and they can stay in union as long, like for the rest of their lives, as long as they don't try to blame the other person too much for their own happiness. They have to have a certain level of maturity and a certain level of being able to handle their own issues in a responsible and mature way and communicate effectively. You know, they have to be to a certain level of, they got to be past the game playing. So that's kind of the point of separation. Whenever there is a separation, some people come into union and then they go back into separation because they aren't taking personal responsibility enough. But it's all to the degree that you guys can handle, like how much are you done with the player stage? How much are you done with whining to get your way? How much are you done with manipulating to get your way? How much can you be okay with whatever he or she does and accept them for who they are, you know? So, but they do get past that separation phase once they've gotten to a certain level of maturity. But it is a divinely guided timing, and sometimes there are a lot of different factors that have to play out before they can come into union. So that can be career decisions, that can be karmic partnerships that you know, it's like they haven't quite learned the lesson yet, or it could be, you know, masculines for some reason get really hung up on money, and they feel like they don't have enough money to have a new start, or they don't have enough money for this, or they don't have enough money for that. They always have to have their money lined up. The feminine's like, I don't care about the money. Just get your butt over here. But that's their hang up. That's one of the things, and the masculines tend to want to just take care of everybody and be like totally codependent, and so they all have their issues they go through during that separation period, but it's basically to make them stronger and more secure. So.
Oh, very good. And by the way, if you'd like to talk to Amy yourself, you can go to www.amysatori.com and book a session with her. She can help you identify what's going on with you and your twin flame and other things as well. One of the things I'd like to bring in now is my son Travis, who has some questions for Amy. And so by listening to this, you can kind of get a flow of what it's like to talk to Amy one-on-one. So with that, Mr. Travis, did you fall asleep or are you still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay.
So I had a question about a interaction I had this week. And I felt the need for some reason to strike up a conversation with somebody that I haven't really talked to for a long time. And I know that she's had feelings for me in the past, and she was a lot more receptive to our conversation than I expected her to be. And I was just wondering if there was anything there.
Ooh, good. Okay. And you hadn't met her before?
Oh, we've known each other for years.
Oh. Is this the one we were talking about?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me feel. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, any synchronicities or signs happening?
What do you mean?
Are there, other than her being receptive, is there anything else that's happening that seems kind of paranormal or supernatural? Are you hearing any songs that make you that like might have words in it that she just said, or that remind you of things that she said, or any dreams about her, or any numbers, or any like, are you seeing license plates from states where she is, or like, you know, that kind of stuff? Or is her favorite number 4 and you see number 4 everywhere? You know, that kind of stuff.
There was, yeah. There was something that reminded me of her, and I was just thinking of her, and I was like, I should say something to her. But I can't remember what that was.
Definitely. Okay. So my advice is to just go ahead and explore that. Don't get physical. Do not get physical.
Don't get physical. Anyway.
Physical.
That's exactly what just ran through my head.
Yeah, so explore it and try to go into it from more of an educational or training kind of outlook. You know, just look at it from kind of a detached standpoint. Not like, this could be my love or anything like that. It would just be like, okay, so what is there to be learned here? And go in and listen to her, get to know her, because she, you know what, actually, since we just had that reading, that caller earlier, or that writer, I guess you'd call it, who was talking about, you know, how she thought that might be her twin and it wasn't. It was a false that was getting her ready. I just got the hit that, I mean, for me, it's like the readings start kind of overlapping each other and feeding off of one another. So I have the feeling this could be a false one that actually will get you ready for the next one, for the real one, to come back into your life. So definitely explore it. See what insecurities come up for you as you get to know her. See what you get afraid of. And if you really think you're going to start a relationship with her, if it comes to that moment where you're like, oh, geez, this is about to become something, see what scares you about it and address it, explore it, and see what concerns you. See what you know, just explore all aspects of it and just learn, and, you know, I'll help you with that. So Yeah, check it out. Check it out.
Okay.
Just don't get sucked in.
Right.
I mean, okay, so this person that we think your twin flame is could come back anytime. And I feel that. So do you want to be involved in this relationship with this other person and have to break up with them and break their heart if that other person comes back?
Oh boy, that would be
hard.
That would get really sticky really fast for so many reasons.
Right? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So just explore it carefully and celibately.
Sure. In other words, sir, just mind your P's and Q's.
Sure, I can do that.
Well, you can do it the hard way. I mean, you can go ahead and explore it and start having sex and do whatever, really get into it. But if you do that, like I said, there are consequences.
I've done lots of things the hard way.
Hey, but
you
know what?
Trying not to do that anymore.
At the same time, we have talked about, gosh, can't believe I'm about to say this. No, but we have talked about your lack of experience, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this could be something that could give you some experience. Just so long as you don't, just treat it as that and make sure you don't lead her on. You can even let her know you're interested in someone. And, tell her I could use some experience if you're willing.
No, I don't think in this particular instance that would work.
Now, wouldn't that be that'd be a hell of a line to use with a woman, wouldn't it? I don't have very much experience with girls. Would you help me out with that? I don't really care and love you, but if you want to give me some of your expertise, I would be honored.
I don't think you could sell it off as them being your professor.
They could be your sex counselor.
I don't know how well that would fly.
I'm just saying, honesty is like the best policy. There was one time where I was dating 3 guys at the same time, but all of them knew where they stand, and all of them knew I was having sex with all of them. And they'd be like, well, what's going on with guy number 1 and 2? And I'd be like, well, like, how do I measure up to the other 2? It was a really awkward situation, and I didn't end up with any of them.
Is that literally or figuratively?
That was very literal.
Oh, dear.
Very literal, very confusing, very difficult. But, I just think no matter what you're doing, even if you're like into swinging or you're into whatever stuff you're into, just keep it real. Just be honest. That's it. So just don't fool anybody. So either, have sex, don't have sex, whatever. But if you're going to have sex, then I would treat it as an educational experience, but I would also be honest with her. As honest as you possibly can be. And but I'm just saying sometimes the universe can deliver something like that can set your mind at ease about your twin coming. I mean, and that would seem like a kind of a nice thing to have happen that could help you feel comfortable. That's all.
And remember, fellas, it's not the wand, it's the magician.
I've never heard that before.
Really? But I know he has heard this before because it was a mantra in our house because we had 2 boys, and it goes like this: KYPIP. You know what that stands for?
Yeah.
Keep your Peter in your pants.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and that has absolutely no psychological effects on your sons whatsoever.
Nope.
Just saying, one's got a lack of experience and the other one has beyond a wealth of experience.
Yeah, you guys became opposites. Complete opposites.
Yep. Yes, they did. Yes.
Oh,
well, let's move on from that and try and get ourselves directly out of the gutter.
Okay, Kevin.
Yes, ma'am.
Kevin, we have a caller.
Oh.
And she would like to share her experience with what I was talking about earlier about that song and dance we go through with our twin flames.
And the caller is in the studio. Hello, caller. How are you? Hello. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm muted. Sorry.
Yes.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
We're awesome. Did you want to help us get out of the gutter now? That would be good.
I'm fine with where your heads are at, but I did have a story. What you said, Amy, about the separation phase just really resonated with me. So I wanted to share just any part of that would be, I don't know, interesting, I guess.
Yeah. What have you experienced in the separation?
So my twin and I were together for 2.5 years, and then we split. And we split for 6.5 months. And during that time, before that, I was very, codependent and, spun up on other people. And that separation phase, just like you said, it was the time when I learned to finally love myself at 35 years old for the first time in my life. Who I am. I took up meditation, even though I was teaching yoga. Didn't really have a consistent meditation practice, and wow, that was a highway to, what your issues are, what's going on. And so for me, those 6 months were all about just self-development and awareness. And I didn't know this until we got back together, but my twin, he was, just like you said, reevaluating his entire life, and he discovered energy work and all these talents and things he'd never thought about, and rediscovered himself. And then finally, in 6.5 months, he texts me and says, "I miss my best friend."
Oh,
yeah.
And
then we've been together. We've been together ever since.
So why don't you tell our callers how that is when you come into union? What's it been like for you guys? That's awesome.
Gosh, we call it relationship 2.0 because everything's been upgraded.
Yeah.
It's no longer Windows 98. It's like at least Windows, 7 or 8. It's great. And it's a whole new world. I mean, there's just so much more attunement on both of our sides, so much less blame, so much less wanting on my part to, run away, or on his part to just turn off. It's, it's like that separation gave us time to really, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on the show, but, to work out our stuff, let's say. Really. We're kind of shit. We just had a lot of
the truth.
It's like we were both just caught in this shit spiral before that was just not healthy, and and we knew it, and it just wasn't healthy. And even though the universe kept pulling us back together like a magnetism, all the synchronicities, I was going to say you wouldn't believe, but I know you would believe it. Just kept pulling us back together and together. But finally we were just like, we can't do this. This is not healthy. And so, and what's really weird, I never thought about this until now, Amy, I blocked his number. I blocked his email. I blocked his Facebook. I blocked everything. And yet somehow, even though it was still blocked because I checked it, somehow 6.5 months later, his text went through.
Oh my gosh.
If that's not the universe acting on behalf of what, I don't know. It's like it overpowered my iPhone. I don't know.
my twin cracked me up because he's like, we took this picture and I'm like, okay, send me the picture. And he's looking through his phone. He's like, I hope I have your number still in here. I was like, oh, you better have my number in there. You know, he was being, oh, he's so funny. He's so funny. But yeah, so when you came into union, like what skills did you guys bring to the table then? Like, was there better communication? Like, what were some things that you guys started to implement that was different? How did you come to terms with, like, not running away? How did you stop yourself? Like, what are some tools that you might be able to help our listeners with?
The biggest thing was we both came back into union with a lot more trust in ourselves, because what we both realized is that resentment in the other person, that comes from disowning your own needs and not trusting yourself enough to make sure your needs get met. And so in relationship 1.0, there was just so much resentment, you know, and lack of trust. And that is the number one thing we brought into 2.0, is just this faith, like a faith that we are strong enough, we are good enough, you know, independently and together. You know, there's this, you know, there's this unwavering love and container, safe container. So we bring in that trust, which manifests as what we call our bubble, so our relationship bubble. And you know, we both can talk about that. So it's like, hey, I felt like our bubble got, you know, like popped back there when such and such happened, you know, that hurt. So it's brought, you know, we're able now to talk about our feelings. That's never happened before. We, you know, we're able to own our stuff. Like, wow, I got really insecure and I felt like lashing out at you when that happened, you know. And when it's like a certain time of the month for me, I used to just be just a terror to be around and just push everybody away. And now it's a little more skillful. It's like, I really want to push you away, but I want to keep our love bubble going. So, I would say a lot of it's like, you know, when you love yourself and work to build trust with yourself and not disown your own needs and your own feelings, so much more is possible with your partner. Like, so much more love, so much more joy. And I can't even tell you, like, I just am more attracted to him every day. It's just crazy. So just trust and not disowning your own feelings.
That is so awesome, because that's one thing that's different about the twins from karmic relationships is they'll make you rather than break you, because this partner is, because of the magnetism, because of the magic between them, they are willing to work hard to make it. It's not even like making it work, but it's like, let me figure out how this can heal me. You know, let me see how you're reflecting me back to me, so that I can heal and grow from this. And it's essentially just, it's like they're reflecting back to you how you can love yourself more. And it ends up not only like healing yourself, but then you heal them. And then it's just like this big love fest back and forth. If you allow it to be, if you can be that open-minded, and if you can be that vulnerable, right? I mean, it does take a degree of vulnerability to be able to put yourself out there in a really honest way like that. And that's what I just talked about actually in the last show too. It was about the boundary show. We talked about how you can just catch yourself and see even where you manipulate and see where you're playing games and be able to call yourself on it. You know, I kind of threw that fit because I wanted you to turn around and tell me how important I was to you. I'm sorry I did that. You know, if you get, oh gosh, isn't an apology amazing? Do you guys apologize?
I just apologized today. Yep.
It just makes all the difference, and I think that's one thing with twins too, is they're able to apologize. You know, or like you said, just work it out and just get real and be like, okay, yep, I admit my part, and here's what I see that I'm doing, and here's what, you know, it's like each person owning their part and being able to work on it. You know, whereas karmic relationships are kind of like, yeah, screw you. They may try for a while, and a lot of it is inauthentic. After they can't fake themselves or you out anymore, they'll ditch. And there isn't that same kind of thing holding them together that there is for the twins either. So
interesting.
So awesome.
Interesting, ladies, how spirit works. I'm sitting here looking at my computer, and I was going to bring this question up as a question for Amy, but I think the two of you just answered it. But I'll put it out there anyway, because Rebecca writes, something I'd love for you to cover on your show, maybe in a future episode. I think most twins in separation think that once they come together with their twin, that growing and challenging part will be over, and they won't be triggered or have to face their mirror anymore. I think the separation gives time to clear a lot, but I imagine after a reunion, it's still challenging. I love to hear about tools twins use to be able to face the challenge of the mirror of the twin that they are in union with. Maybe there are twin couples who could talk about it. I think we just did. Are there any other tools you can think of?
Gosh, Amy brought up a really good one, which I didn't think of, which was apologizing. That's the sweetest thing, and we didn't do it in relationship 1.0. And now it's Bruce Tift, he says relationship is inherently disturbing. That doesn't change. It stays disturbing, and because you're reflecting each other's triggers and getting into really deep old stuff and wounding and trauma, but then you're holding each other in a love container to work through that. So the way that my twin likes to say it is, we trigger each other just enough to work through the wounding, but then unlike the situations that cause the trauma, we absolutely just love each other. So there's that love protective container around working through the trauma. So, but no, there definitely is trauma.
Yeah, I say that all the time. I say that the soulmate is the one who gives you that like undying love, that total unconditional love and acceptance, like you can do no wrong. And then the karmic will just destroy you and rip you to pieces and make you feel like a pile of something on the floor. And so the twin, this is awesome validation, and I get this all the time, and that they're a combination. The twin flame is a perfect combination because they love you completely and totally just as you are. They get you like nobody else, and they challenge you. But it's not like they're doing it to get at you. They're not trying to be mean, and they're not trying to purposely trip you up or anything. It's like they accidentally, and I say that in quotes because it's like the universe is trying to purposely trigger you to help you heal. But yet they're holding you in these loving arms where they're just completely accepting of you, and they can see their own stuff. And if they don't get triggered, they can kind of own it and be like, wow, this must have had to come up for you, because I really didn't mean to do that. But let's figure this out. Let's figure out what we're supposed to learn from this. So it's such a beautiful way that the universe helps us to love unconditionally in that kind of environment that just totally supports us in such a natural way. It's just awesome.
Okay, I have a question for both of you guys, because this is something that I've wanted to know for a very long time. If you are in a relationship with somebody who likes to chew gum, and popping gum annoys the crap out of you, does that mean that you're going to be in a twin flame relationship with somebody who doesn't like gum, or you're going to figure out how to not let it trigger you anymore?
So my twin has misophonia, and I love to chew gum. So there you go.
Oh, you're kidding me. That's ironic. So how do you guys handle that?
We have it down to like a look. So he'll just look at me a certain way, and I'm like, oops, I'm chewing gum, aren't I? And
wait,
it's not like a disgusted look. Just a look, like a sideways look, just for like half a second, not even a long time. And it's not a mean look. It's just a look. And I'm like, oh, wait, I'm chewing gum. That's, rude of me. I know that he has misophonia. It's not good. And I just keep forgetting. So
I think so Travis is asking what misophonia is.
Oh, it's when you're really sensitive to chewing noises.
Travis has that.
I do have that.
Names for things.
That's true. All these names for things. There's a name for everything.
Oh my god!
I had no idea what it was called, but loud chewers drive me insane.
No, it's like, it's just part of the triggering, part of the stuff to master.
That's right.
It's part of the stuff to get over. So, but that's how you give him a look. Or he gives you the look. He gives me the look.
And yeah, well, for me, it's bringing awareness to my unconscious habit of just chewing gum whenever I'm stressed out, and so that's helping me repair that, unconscious pattern. And then for him, it's dealing with this woman he loves who does annoying things once in a while and building more tolerance.
Well, it's interesting that you guys have come to first of all, I commend you for having the discussion about that, because I had the same very discussion with my ex-wife, and it went more like this. That's really annoying. Oh, yeah? Well, get over it and deal with it. And that was the end of that discussion. And so I just had to bite my tongue, which is why Travis he doesn't like loud chewers, because his ma was one. And so am I.
Yeah, but I like the way you guys handle it. I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's just...
That is awesome.
It's a natural part of life. Things irritate us.
Yes, they do. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, just that what you said, Amy, about the knight in shining armor. Gosh, that's the fantasy, right? And it's like, oh, one day my perfect match will come, and it's this and that, and then you realize that the person that you're supposed to be with is, just like you guys said, it's going to annoy the heck out of you. Like that, you just annoy each other so much, and then you think, like, in low moments, like, gosh, is this right? Because we just annoy each other so much. But then there's like highways of growth that happen, that would just never happen if you weren't annoying each other. So the annoyance is such a gift, Yeah,
it really bonds you and helps you come closer. It's true. And you learn to lighten up and be playful and be light with yourself. I mean, half the time when we are so annoyed by somebody else, we're just as annoyed with something about us. So, I mean, it's that classic projection thing. So, when we're gracious with ourselves and we're gracious with others, it just keeps bouncing back and forth. So apparently both of you are, not quite healed in your own irritations with yourself. So when the other triggers that, it's like, hey, what is this? So it could be any kind of an issue. Say you're irritated with the fact that something irritates you about yourself, some kind of little thing. You're like, why do I always do that? That's so irritating. So then you get around him and he does something little and irritating. You're like, well, who are you to get on to be able to do that? I don't get to do that. If I do that, I give myself a hard time. So who are you? So it's kind of like, you can't just be yourself like that if I can't be myself like that. Screw that. But if you can actually be gracious with yourself and you can be okay with how you are, then it's going to work for him too. Especially since you guys are, especially because you guys are tied energetically like you are with that, what is it, a red cord for the twins? Some kind of a red cord? I don't know. I've never seen it. I've never seen that cord. I've just heard about it. So, but anyway, so it's like as much growth as you'll make yourself and with your own irritations is as much growth as you'll see with him as well, and vice versa. If he decides he's going to stop being irritated with the chewing, then he'll also stop being irritated with certain things that irritate him about himself, and we all have those. So. That dynamic will keep going until you guys learn to totally and completely accept yourselves without any kind of irritation, apparently. What were you going to say, though, Kevin?
Well, I was just going to add that from my perspective, when you get to be, and let's address for just a second, older people, and I mean older people, who are looking for a twin flame relationship. But there's so many things that you become accustomed to when you've been alone for a long time. Could you kind of address how does somebody, present company excluded, of course, how can somebody who is a little older feel open enough to let their twin flame come to them?
Have you ever seen Beauty and the Beast?
Incessantly.
Okay. So imagine the Beast being 80 years old, and you got it. So this really annoying, sweet little princess comes to live in your house because you forced her to. And you're like, what are you doing in my house? And why did you go down that hallway? I told you never go down that hallway. And, oh, you have all these rules and regulations. I can't believe I don't even want to eat with you. And he's like, oh, well, well, maybe we can, it's like, it's just a natural process when you're drawn to somebody to soften up and want to work on yourself. That's just kind of nature at any age. So, people get set in their ways and set in their opinions and set in their ideas, and they've got differences of all kinds of things. They could, they could have grown up in two totally different cultures or two totally different religions, or there's so many different differences. There's age differences in the twins. There's so many differences, but it's all ultimately to help us just completely love one another unconditionally. And when we love ourselves, that's awesome. Then you go to the next level. You love the next person unconditionally, like your partner. Then it expands out from that and out from that and out from that. And pretty soon the whole world is evolving and ascending. So when you find yourself in one of these types of situations, you can expect the unexpected. And you can expect miracles to happen and major growth spurts like she's talking about. And she has seen this. I say she because I'm not sure if you want me to use your name, but you've seen. Maybe you can even talk about some of these huge epiphanies that have happened for you guys that have just been like, holy cow! Like, well, for one, yeah, that separation you guys went through, and then you came back together. But there's got to be all these little ones that have happened too, where you guys had to kind of soften up as you went along. But I think that's just part of. When you're in this type of connection, it's just worth it. You just do it naturally. And that's one thing about twin flames is they always want to grow. They have a conscience. They care. They care about you. They care about being a jerk. They don't want to be a jerk. They have a guilty conscience. They're like, I'm not going to, do something where I'm going to beat myself up over it. And if there's something I need to do to apologize here or to make amends or something, I want to take care of that. I want to do that. They're just kind of people. So, yeah, it just happens naturally. I wouldn't even try to worry about it or to try to figure it out until it happens to you.
Well, we shall see. By the way, we're talking with our friend Amy Satori. Go to amysatori.com. Get a reading by her. Go have a session. And you can do that from her page right there on the, I believe it's the front page. And if you want to go find out some resources about her, you can do that as well by going to the resources page. Also, the satorishow.podbean.com is an excellent place. We now have, this is our 5th Twin Flame show that we will have up. I believe it's 5. And we will have many more. So I'm looking forward to that. And thank you, by the way, to our caller, who for adding really a lot of substance to the show. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome. Very validating.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. And with that, we need to put an end to this podcast because time is running short again. Travis, before we go, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. And Amy?
No, I don't have anything else. Just be true to yourself, be true to your path, just keep coming back to your heart and listening to your intuition and embrace change and expect okay, I do have something to add. Don't pigeonhole
I thought
people.
You did.
Yeah, don't pigeonhole people. Like, especially twin flames. Man, twin flames, for one, it's a spiritual connection. Some of these couples have actually gone through enlightenment. And when you're able to break through time barriers and be able to be present in the moment and be completely transformed in that way, which they're all capable of, it's just amazing how much they can change overnight. So don't ever sit there and say they are this way. Don't make up stories about who they are or how they are because of some action you've seen them do, even an action that you've seen them do for years or for quite a while. When you hold the space for someone, enabling them to be a new person every moment, and you can allow there to be space for miracles all the time, they can step into that space any moment. But when you hold them into a certain story that you're kind of keeping yourself at a victim about, if that made any sense. We tell ourselves these stories, oh, he'll never listen to me because he never does. Or he'll never call because he never has. Or he always this, and the pattern looks like that. It's like, don't do that because you're locking them into having to repeat that pattern over and over. So I maybe the caller can add something to that because I know she's had to have broken through that herself.
Oh goodness, Amy! I know you guys are short on time, but I was about to.
Yeah, isn't that true?
I was about to text you. I was about to text you and say, "Oh my gosh, yes!" It's just so tempting. Yeah, in fact, today that's actually what I apologized about, was doing exactly that to him. It's that feels so true what you just said, and I don't have a way to get past it yet except to apologize when I do it, and just really appreciating what you just said. It's true.
Yeah, so just try not to read into things and make up a story about it. Just stay in the moment. I can't even tell you guys the power of staying in the moment and staying out of the stories. Don't make yourselves into a victim. Just allow him to be new and see him through fresh eyes every day and appreciate. Like, gratitude goes so far. Apologies are huge, but also show gratitude at least every single day. Tell your partner something that you appreciate about them, or as often as you can throughout the day, because it just can really take out any toxins that are building up in that relationship. And just show that appreciation, because there's this great story, and I don't remember the name of the tribe or whatever, but there's some tribe somewhere that there's been a story done on where whenever somebody does something wrong, they put them in the center of the circle, and everybody in the village gathers around in a circle around this person. The person sits in a chair, and everybody in the village says something that they love or appreciate about that person who stole or lied or cheated or did whatever. And that is what transforms people. That is what gives them hope that they can be better people. That's what inspires them to, it's like love. Love and appreciation can inspire and transform anything. So, and when we, that's what shines light on that shadow side as well. He's like, wow, you guys believe in me. You guys like me. We tend to self-sabotage. So on the one who's being pigeonholed standpoint, they're like, well, you already think I'm going to be this way, so I may as well just be this way. So, but when you can almost, like, if you're about to walk in the door, and I would leave issues at the door, but like, say you're walking in the door and you're anticipating, when I go to tell him this, he's going to have this reaction like he always does. Try for just a moment and hesitate before you walk in the door and picture or imagine everything going totally different. Imagine him having a completely different reaction that shocks you. Something to where he goes, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. Or, oh my gosh, you know what? You're right. You were so right. And they laugh their butts off. To where you're like, what? And so try to retrain yourself to see them in a whole new and different light before you even walk in the door. And you'll walk in the door with a different vibration than having the expectation of them acting the way that they've always acted. So and forgiveness is key. Keep forgiving, and not necessarily to condone the behavior of the other person, but because you love yourself. and a lack of forgiveness hurts you. Do it for you. And do it so that you can continue to cause a freshness and a newness for you guys to be able to step into together.
And don't forget the other really, really important thing to do. Hide the gum.
And if somebody farts too much, buy them charcoal pills.
They call it vino, my friend. Not that I know from personal experience.
There's ways around everything. Just saying.
What have you been eating?
I have heard it all. And I've heard all the complaints.
I imagine you have. Again, we've been talking, obviously, with our host, Amy Satori. My name is Kevin McDonald. Amy, what is it that you always say?
Fear isn't real.
And forever trust in who you really are. And nothing else matters. We'll see you next time on The Satori Show.
You've been listening to The Satori Show. Please visit Amy's website, www.amysatori.com, to find out more about this incredible talent. The views expressed during this podcast are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of management or the owners of this podcast. What you need to know is that Amy is a wonderful teacher, guide, and communicator for the unseen world. What she does not pretend to be is a doctor, fortune teller, seer of world events, or predictor of what is to come. What Amy presents is real, based on her understanding of the world and communication with that unseen world. As always, you're free to decide for yourself as to what to believe. Regardless, we love and accept you completely just as you are. And thanks again for listening to The Satori Show.